Hello there! This is the morning after the anniversary stream where I set out to build a Lego mouse that actually worked with my computer so that we could play through a few games. But first off, we had to build it, which I did do live, and it was a really fun process. Check it out. Hello there, and welcome to a surprise stream. We've got components for a mouse, and when I say components for a mouse, we literally have the components for a mouse. This isn't a pre-made kit. It doesn't come with the mouse, as it says somewhere on here. Maybe it doesn't, but we have the circuit board, we have different buttons, different switches. I think that's the scroll wheel. And then next to it, we have some 3D printed elements that you might have been able to tell just from the base here are Lego brick compatible. And I've already tried those out, but I haven't built the mouse yet because next door we have here some official, and I mean official Lego elements, which should be enough to build this Lego mouse. I went with yellow because I thought that was more of a playful Lego color, and then I 3D printed it in green. If I like the yellow, I might go back and switch these out to a nice yellow color, make it look consistent. But at the minute, this mouse that I'm using, in fact, let me give you a close-up of the mouse I'm using because it does look quite alien. Maybe not that close. There you go. It's an ergonomic mouse, which, I'll be completely honest, I bought this mouse because it looked really, really cool, and there's no other reason behind it. It's meant to help with support your wrist, and rather than needing a desk mat or mouse mat, I guess, you can just rest your hand on the side. I don't tend to rest my hand much anyway, but this is wired, which means it's a pain when the desk is moving up and down or when I'm pulling out the desk for different videos, and therefore we're switching to Bluetooth, which is what the batteries are for. I also personally, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I prefer batteries to plugged in on wires. I don't want to sound too old, but back in the day, phones, you could pull out the battery and you'd have a spare one charged, kind of like a battery pack, but you'd just be able to slot that straight into the phone, wouldn't have to wait for it to charge, and it's ready to go 100%. I can grab some spare rechargeable batteries that I've got laying around, because I will have spare ones laying around, slot them straight in, they're ready to go, full charge, and I can whack the other ones into charge whilst I'm using it. Is that safe? Putting the dongle in with the circuit board, but this should go straight on top here. There's one screw hole in the middle of the base, just there, that I think holds everything together. This goes down here, but the real question is, which way round does it go? This looks like a battery. Yeah, this is a battery spring and the other little metal bit. And then we've got this little plug for the back. Is it? To the void, that's going to sit there. Nice that we can just roll that. Whoa. And the best thing about this is if I ever develop any sort of gamer rage and I throw my mouse across the room and it breaks, we can just rebuild it because it's built of Lego. I think let's just try to keep this in one piece. Here's the base of it. It's a 8x12. And then my pattern for the side, which I kind of worked out, was 2 of the single arches, and then I have a 2x4 arch. Let's see if we can get a focus on the mouse. I feel like it's focusing more on the Falcon. When we built that Falcon, it was still in the limelight. Anytime I'd pick it up or it'd be sat on the desk, I would lose focus on me and it would focus on the Falcon. Only took us half the build. There we go. Yeah, it was 3 single slopes and then a 2x4, which holds both of these 1x6s together. So there we are. Nice bright yellow. I should 3D print the other parts in yellow. Maybe we keep the base green. After all, green is my favorite color. To fill up the gap, we're having 2 1x6 plates, which can go top or the bottom, and they fill in the gap with the arches. It all feels very loose, I will say, until you start connecting the bricks up. But the clutch power's there. You can lift it just from, the top, and it's not going to fall down even with the weight of the components. Finishing touch with these 1x6 tiles. Perfect amount of pieces to cover the mouse And we're not going to be using it like this, though I guess you probably could. We do have this final piece of the puzzle, which is 3D printed and has two little separate elements out there, as well as a space for the scroll wheel. And look at that mouse. This is what we're going to be using today. It might not look the best. It's something, isn't it? I think this would look cool if it was like a black mouse on top and it had a bright red base. That would also be very Sith coded. There's a tiny click. Tiny click. This might be my full-time mouse, and I've built it out of Lego bricks. I guess until I need these yellow slopes for something, but I think that's pretty cool. And with that, we just hit 10,000 subscribers. Let's see if I compare this to my computer. I think the easiest way is plugging this in. Oh, can't forget to take off the plastic. Don't want to melt my computer. There we go. All right, I've just worked out what that thing was on the bottom. That's the power switch, isn't it? Well, it's fairly easy, I assume, to just peel the bottom off. Like with a normal mouse where you unscrew it, if you can get a corner, there we go. We can just completely core out, and we'll remove the battery for safety. We were doing so well till I realized we were missing power. Kind of important, isn't it? When you're building any sort of electrical component. Is it on? We've got power! Yes! Unlimited power! Is there a way I'll be able to show you this mouse? There's no real way I can show you this mouse working, except for the fact that... Oh, I think it just died. Now, with the mouse not working last night, I am going to try my best to try and get this working for the next time we play games, or even just in our Lego build streams, because coming up, we do have the UCS Slave 1 at 10K, though I have a feeling this project's probably going to take a while, so I've probably already got that built. So it's now the following morning, and I've kind of lost the USB dongle. My desk is still absolutely covered in all these screws, but I'm pretty sure it's not in this, and it should have been in one of those two blue slots. I must have taken it out to make room for the controller, and I have no idea where I've put it. For a second there, I actually genuinely thought I was going crazy. So where was the USB dongle? Well, turns out it was underneath my computer. I don't know how it got there, but now that we've got this, I want to try again with this mouse, because I've been reading a few different posts in various places across the internet, and there's a few things I want to try. Some people have recommended removing a sticker on the sensor at the bottom, which I don't know how well you can see this, but across both the sensor and the light there, I don't see any sort of sticker. So I guess there's no sticker on mine, and a few other people have recommended about, you know, making sure all the parts are in. We did forget about the power button, kind of important, but there's also been a few posts that have said their mouse only works when it's the only mouse connected, which is why I was looking for the USB dongle, because I'm going to try to connect it up with my actual mouse being unplugged. So I've unplugged the funky looking one, and now let's put in the dongle. So I have the battery plugged in, and yet again, still plugging in the battery. Let's make sure we've turned it on. Only makes it flash for a few seconds before it dies and goes off and stops working completely. And a quick Google search will tell you this is caused by a few different issues, one of which is to do with the battery. Of course, I don't have a new battery to hand, so I will be going and trying to find some rechargeable batteries that I can use in this. But there's also a few other things that could cause it. For instance, one of these is interference, which is helpful by unplugging this mouse that is caught around my desk. There you go. There's the full lead. This thing is unplugged. So interference shouldn't be a problem. But I do also have a separate Bluetooth dongle, so I wonder if that's causing any harm. All right, Bluetooth dongle removed. Let's try it again with a simple off and back on again. It's flashing, which I assume is to pair it up. Maybe it is just the fact the battery's dying. And again, it dies within a couple of seconds, which isn't good because I've also seen a lot of people complaining about this just not working. However, I don't give up too easily. We're going to get this working somehow. And it's not the batteries, because all 3 batteries still work in my LED display. So I'm sure this has enough to power it at least for, you know, like a minute or so, more than a couple of seconds. And the last thing that Google does say is to do with driver issues on the mouse itself, which is gonna be a bit harder to solve. Here's the protective film. I found the instructions online, and there's meant to be this sticker over the lens, which I feel like would be fairly obvious to see. So I'm pretty confident there's no sort of sticker over this lens, but it's not gonna stop me searching for it for the next couple of minutes. I'm probably also right in assuming the fact that it doesn't have a little sticker over the lens here, over the sensor at the bottom, probably means that this is a kit that was sent back to Bambu Lab. It's probably a rejected mouse that didn't work. It's been repackaged and then sent out to me, which doesn't go well. I've had no problems with Bambu Lab as far as up till now. It's been great service all the way, but something like this is what you'd expect off Amazon, not a, you know, professional 3D printing company. One of the biggest 3D printing companies right now, I may add, because of how good their products are, but their service might actually be falling behind. I've got to the end of the instructions, and there's actually a little button pressing sequence to activate the mouse. So I'm going to give that one last go before contacting them, but it still kind of sucks that I haven't been given a new kit. If you have ordered the kit at home, you just have to press down the left, right and middle key as you connect it and turn it on, and apparently that will pair it with a computer. Now, as someone that's done quite a bit with tech, this does seem a little funny, a little weird, if I can say so, but you know what? If it works, I can't complain. So it says to hold down the left, middle and right buttons and then turn it on, hold it for 4 to 5 seconds. I let go of the middle button. Let's try that again. So it says to hold down the left, middle, right button, don't let go of them, and then turn the mouse on, hold it down for 4 to 5 seconds. When the arrow on screen changes, which it just did, it changed to the scroll wheel, and then it changed to the right click on Google, so I can see all the options now. Power, when the arrow on screen changes, power off the mouse, just like so, and then power on the mouse again to resume normal use. It's flashing, and it's just died again. So I think we do have a faulty kit. I am going to contact Bambu Lab because this wasn't new. I would like a new one of these, and hopefully it works. But it does suck that with so few components as well, I mean, there's more on the other side. But even still, there's not a lot to a Bluetooth mouse. I could always pull apart a regular Bluetooth mouse and give this a go if the Bambu kit remains faulty with the newer one. But I guess, yes, this video is definitely coming out after the Jango Fett Slave 1 build. Go check it out. Thank you so much for 10K. And now let's jump ahead to the brand new kit, hopefully arriving very soon.